Hodor, 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 holding the door. He is saving Brandon Stark, life. Hodor, Hodor.
All right, everyone, how's it going? If you can tell from our clusterfuck of an intro, we are here. We may be queer, and we're ready to talk about Game of Thrones Season 6, my friends. It's been quite a season, in fact, especially if you're someone like me that has read all the books and really hasn't been impressed with the past few seasons. We'll talk about that with my friends here on this Game of Thrones-centric Budacast, and that be Nick the Hershey Kiss and Keith Mathias. How's it going, gentlemen?
I would have gotten here earlier, but some jerk in my building wouldn't hold the door for me, so...
Hold the door! Hold the door!
I had to.
How's it hanging out there?
Oh, it's not too bad. It's been a lot of rain, so I've been rewatching Game of Thrones, so that's a plus.
There's worse things you could do in life, like suffer through a potential Penguins collapse tonight in Game 6 of the NHL Eastern Conference Finals.
I can only hope.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
My team got knocked out a long time
hate.
ago, so...
Hate is gonna hate. Yeah, whatever. They shouldn't be down 3-2 anyways. I don't know why the hell you put Flower back in goal when he's a head case and he hasn't played since March. But we're not here to talk fucking hockey, buddies. We're here to talk Game of Thrones, so I'll shut up and save the stress for later tonight. So, Keith, what's up with you, dude?
Not a whole lot, man. Just hanging out. Trying to stay dry, much like Hirsch.
Got it.
It's the Mid-Atlantic has been awful.
Well, it's headed here
these past couple weeks.
It's headed to the boring Midwest over the next 2 days.
Have fun, my friend.
Yeah, it's my last week of break before summer starts up, and I'm looking at the weather, and it just gets shit from here on out.
Mm-hmm.
So, luckily, Overwatch is out. Got that to play. Got the new Ninja Turtles game to play. Uncharted 4. Have a baby that requires a bunch of attention, so I think I'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So anyways, people, why are you listening to us? I don't really know why you would listen to us, but we want to talk Game of Thrones, specifically the 6th season, which we teased at the beginning here, and we've hit the halfway point, right, guys? We just watched the 5th episode titled The Door. I guess we'll start with The Door because it was to me, I think it started off rocky. It was slow, a bit boring, kind of disjointed, in fact. Like, they really made hard cuts between the different plot threads that we've become accustomed to this season. But then it really hit its stride towards the last quarter, obviously with the big Hodor reveal, the attack on the Three-Eyed Raven's cave, and the subsequent revelation that Bran can, in fact, affect the past. He can't change it. This is a closed time loop system, people, here. That rule's been written. The Blood-Eyed Raven said, you can't alter the fabric of the past. But clearly, and we got a hint of this, guys, a few episodes ago when we saw the Tower of Joy flashback, where Bran spoke out to young Ned, and Ned heard him. And that's what happened with the Hodor thing. Essentially, Bran being in the past and the present while warged in the Hodor is what caused Hodor, young Willis, to become Hodor. So... the poor guy essentially lived through his own death as a kid, which traumatized him and turned him into Hodor. So Bran created Hodor. So what else is Bran going to do, guys? What do you think? Or do we don't even want to get into that yet, because it could open up a whole can of worms as far as time travel, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, you start throwing time travel into stuff, like anything can happen. And then it just makes your head hurt, especially with the closed loop thing.
Well, we agree it's closed loop, right? I mean, he can't alter the past.
Yeah, that's what the Three-Eyed Raven said.
Right.
It's written in ink.
He creates the past, essentially. I mean, he's creating the future through the past. He created the present through the past.
It's basically like Matthew McConaughey in Interstellar, right?
Yeah.
So to speak, like with the whole Tesseract thing, which I still don't understand, but I've accepted that I don't understand it, so...
Well, that's the beauty of fantasy over science fiction, because you don't have to use any science or mathematics to justify it. You can just say it's fucking magic. It's like, there we go. Like, let's touch some roots in a cave, and we can time travel and affect the past. So I guess the scene was great. I mean, it was very emotional. It was a great send-off for Hodor. I'm going to miss the big guy. Actually took out my Hodor Funko Pop today and did some photo shots with him to commemorate the Jolly Giant, but... It really, the key thing here, outside of just how sucky his death was was the fact that we now know Bran, he's the new three-eyed raven. Unfortunately, he's undertrained. He's like Luke leaving Yoda and Empire. He's not prepared. So obviously he's probably going to make more mistakes moving forward. And some people have speculated on this before, but do we think Bran now is going to be the voices in Mad King Aerys' head, or the three-eyed raven? Were they both talking to him at one point in time? Or is Bran, again, like I said, now that he is the guy, but he's not fully trained, is he going to try to use his powers to do stuff that he might not should do, which leads to King Aerys becoming mad and eventually killing his grandfather, his uncle, and so on and so forth? What do you guys think?
I'm not entirely sure how, like, in depth I see Bran like affecting the whole timeline, because I mean, like we know from a couple episodes back when the three-eyed raven told him, like, the past is written in ink. The ink is dry on that. It's what happened, but we've also seen how Bran's presence in the past influenced the present. So
That's what I'm getting at. So
yeah,
what,
I
what
know.
if Bran,
I have
what if
no
he goes
idea,
back
man.
like, what he's like, you know what? I'm going to try to save my grandfather Ned. I'm going to go back and talk to, or not just say shit at King Aerys, and that's why Aerys thinks he's going nuts, because he's hearing Bran going, hey, dude, don't do that, or do this. Don't do that. Don't fight with them. Don't fuck with this family. Hey, the Lannisters suck. Who knows? But I think that it's a feasibility at this point. I mean, like I said, it was fan speculation prior to this confirmation, but we do now know that one way or the other, he can affect things happening in the past. He can't change it, but he can definitely put his stamp on it, which potentially leads to how things played out, obviously, with he created Hodor. I mean, Hodor's Hodor because of Bran from the present going back in the past.
Yeah, and even if, like you said, he created Hodor, so to speak, and if he does have an influence over the Mad King, you go back even farther and say, oh, did he have the influence over Brandon the Builder who built the wall? Like, you could go back even farther.
Yeah.
Like,
it could get
yeah,
nuts.
because there was a point where I forget how many brands there actually were in the Stark legacy, but there was a point where old Nan, the teacher, the watcher of the children, whatever you want to call her, was like, there were so many brands, they were all starting to run together in her head. And so, is that like Bran really being all of the other brands?
Well, I mean, if we're pulling from the book and just stuff I've read, this, that, and even listening to D.B. Weiss and Benioff, or however the fuck you say his name, and even George, I'm pretty sure all of them said that Bran is fucking key.
Yeah.
Yes.
To everything. I mean, he is the three-eyed raven now, and I don't think the show has done justice to the mystical side of Game of Thrones. I mean, the book goes much deeper into the lore of the children. That was cool. We got to see the children. They're the ones that created the White Walkers. So we get to see how powerful these children were. But the show really has avoided the level of magic that is present in Westeros, Essos, Bravos, Pentos, so on and so forth. We're getting it a little bit with these red priestesses. Obviously, we know they can raise people from the dead. We got that with Jon this year, and Beric Dondarrion a few seasons ago. And this new red priestess, I think her name's like Canava, the one that met with Varys and Tyrion. She obviously knows some shit. I mean, she was calling stuff out of Varys' past that no one would know. So there is a shit ton of magic in the world, even though in the TV show we've mainly been left to just the game playing and the main family. So these green seers, which Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven are, I mean, they essentially can touch the entire universe through nature. These trees, the werewood trees, this, that, and the other thing. So it is going to be interesting to see how much power they ultimately give Bran. But if he has the power we've seen, I mean, he can pretty much do whatever the fuck he wants, or create whatever he wants.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, I understand why they give him this power, and especially this focus this season. I just hope they don't rely on that too much to tell the rest of the story, where it's just right. Like, it's just Bran. Oh, okay, he made this happen. Like, it's just kind of a.
If it ends like Bran waking up and he's a little kid again, and he doesn't have his legs broken and everything's normal, I'm gonna be like, fuck off.
Fred Savage's grandfather closes a book, and he's like, well, that's the end.
So I do, and if you get out there and read the message boards and whatnot, a lot of fans they dug seeing what happened and learn what Bran could do, but they have the same concerns we have. Like, man, don't turn this into some fucking time travel looper type of shit where you got to figure out timelines and who created what. I mean, is Bran ultimately going to be responsible for Robert's rebellion, this, that, and the other thing? I mean, I think we still going to get to see Bran go back and check on the Tower of Joy. Right, guys? We're going to get the Jon Snow reveal at some point this season, don't you think?
You think it's this season?
I hope to Christ it is.
I don't know what I mean.
It's such a secret between like everybody that I feel like it might not happen this season.
They showed so much already though in
Yeah.
that first Tower of Joy. I mean, flashback. I mean, literally, there's a lady screaming. We know it's Lyanna. We just don't know, like Ned, if she's there by her own free will or if she really was kidnapped and raped and locked up in the tower by Rhaegar.
Yeah, and my big question is, what the hell is the point of bringing Jon back if he doesn't have some sort of like super badass secret heritage?
No, you're right. The only other literary excuse I could see would be to wholeheartedly justify the Night's Watch motto so he could leave and go help the Starks again.
Yeah.
Because he did fucking die. He's out from under the oath. He can do what he wants. But yeah, he's got to be something big. And I think Melisandre's realized that. The other Red Priestess, they think Dany is Azor Ahai, God reincarnated, but they may be related. There's shit going around now that Mira could be Jon's sister, Mira Reed.
Yeah.
Because remember, her dad was with Ned there at the Tower of Joy, and he's the one that killed Sir Arthur Dayne like a little bitch, but he was there, so. But what would that mean? Why even throw Mira in, right? I don't understand. It would seem odd to kind of lump her into the big mix at this point.
Yeah, for real. She serves the purpose of being like the companion to Bran. And especially now that Hodor's gone, like he needs somebody there with him, not only to like cart him around, but to take care of him and to communicate with him. So
I'll be interested to see where they go. 'Cause,
right.
I mean, we have a cripple and a girl. That's it. The dire wolves are gone. Hodor's gone. They have nobody. The children are dead. Three-Eyed Raven's dead. They can't be protected from the Night King anymore because Bran fucked up and got marked by him.
Yeah.
So they're almost going to constantly have to be on the run, which is going to be a tough sell when you have a girl pulling a now grown man on a sled.
Mm-hmm. Which, speaking of the Night King's mark, have either of you guys seen any of the speculation regarding like the potential of what that means for like Bran going back beyond the wall toward the south?
Well, yeah. Now it's going to break the barrier that the wall has contained these creatures for so long. It's going to break the magical barrier if Bran is on the other side of the wall.
Like he totally wrecked potentially wrecked the magic that was
because they're still north of the wall, right?
Yes, they totally are.
Yeah, he fucked all sorts of shit up, dicking around, trying to play with power on his own. Like I said, he's like Luke. He got fucking cocky. He's like, yo, I'm going to go help my buddies, or I want to go learn more on my own. Fuck you, Yoda. And what does he do? He gets his arm cut off, and he finds out Darth Vader's his dad, and it wrecks him, and then Yoda dies, and this, that, and the other thing. So it was good. It was a good episode. It was it wasn't the best this season, I don't think. I mean, really, outside of the climax, like I said, it was kind of blah. I mean, the Arya shit to me, guys, is just like, do something already. Right? I mean, let's go somewhere with this faceless men shit. What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's
and her thread's the same in the book. It's the same fucking shit. She's being put out and she has to do tests and different characters and kill people.
Yeah, except in the book, she's actually killed, like poisoned someone at this point.
Oh, she's killed people from the Night's Watch. I mean, Samwell Tarly's crossed paths with her at this point. I mean, I'm still a bigger fan of the books, but the show obviously is fantastic.
Yeah.
Nick, how are you feeling about Arya's storyline as a whole?
I'm kind of with Matt now. I'm kind of like ready for it to move on, for her to actually start doing some more stuff, because it seems like every time we check in, there's a montage of her fighting and losing, and then a brief interaction with Jack and Hagar, about
Yeah.
like morals or this or that. And this week we find out that, you know, the origin of the Faceless Men was basically just like nobody. Hence, you know, a person
Yeah.
must become no
Well,
one.
they were slaves.
Right, they were slaves.
It was like a slave.
You know, Arya asked who the first one was, and you know his response was he was no one. So okay, that makes sense why they don't want to be anybody. But it came across like they're just assassins for hire, so to speak.
oh,
Yeah.
they totally.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they are, right? That's like the whole thing behind the Faceless Men.
Yeah, but
is they're the best assassins on the planet.
But up until this point, you thought maybe there was a little bit more like I don't know if religion or like moral or like a higher power behind it. And now it's just like, oh, this person paid for us to kill this person, or at least that's what it came across in this episode.
No, yeah, they are. They're definitely murderers for hire. I mean, in the book, to me, I always felt like Arya wanted to do this to learn the skills to eventually get her revenge on her list. And I think that's where it ultimately has to go, but I don't even know how they can get there at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
she's so far removed from the shit going on in Westeros. I mean, sure, watching the play of her family's follies this past episode, you could see it still affects her. But I just want Arya to get back over in Westeros and start fucking killing Cersei and everybody that she wants to kill.
Do you think maybe that she doesn't become a faceless assassin?
There's going to have to be a fallout, because if she truly stays with their order, she is no one. She is not Arya Stark. She has no attachments to that family, to Westeros, anything.
And this week in the new episode, he gave her a mission and was like, a girl has been given a second chance, she will not get a third. So if she bails on this one or something happens,
well, they'll kill her. I mean,
Yeah.
he said you will have a face in this hall, whether you're an assassin that gets to wear them or it's your fucking
Yeah.
face that we use for other people to wear. Because I don't know if you picked it up from the show. People bring dead people there or dying people. They die there and then they take their fucking face.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in a lot of ways the show is kind of driving toward her abandoning the Faceless Man training, because we got that line from the waif in the most recent episode where, you know, like, there have been no lords or ladies of Westeros that have become Faceless Men. So maybe that's I don't know, some sort of indication that, you know, Arya just doesn't belong with them, and it's always kind of felt like that.
and she's
And-
trying to
and-
like
and-
prove herself.
Yeah, like she's trying really damn hard to make this happen, and no matter how hard she tries, she always seems to be like a step away. And I don't know, I could see how somehow, some way, she eventually is just like, screw you guys, I'm going home. and and ditches. But it also, and Nick, I think we talked about this in one of our email exchanges. I could totally see George Martin just giving a huge middle finger to fans and being like, fuck you guys, Arya's not coming back.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And that's kind of what I was saying. In the book, you get way more inside the head of the characters, because he actually writes each chapter from a certain character's point of view. I think, Nick, you've read them. Keith, I don't know if you read the books or
I have not.
But to me, just like you guys are saying, I've always felt like her motivations to train with the Faceless Men have always been personal to get her revenge.
Yeah.
I just don't know how she's going to separate that tie without getting murdered or becoming a marked person by the Faceless Men. And if you get marked by the Faceless Men, you're done.
Yeah. But isn't Needle still just kind of hanging around somewhere?
Well,
like,
yeah, in the book,
place where
she
hid
buries it. Yeah, in the book she buries it. In the show,
It's like
She
it's like
buries
hidden
it.
in the steps or like stones
yeah,
or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
That mirrors the book
Yeah.
for sure. So she doesn't completely shed Arya 100%. But it's just, at this point, we need her to do something, or we need her to get somehow mixed back into the main game, and not just hanging out with her buddies with their sticks and shit.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also important to note that, like, even before the season started, Maisie Williams was very forthright in the fact that we were going to have to be patient with Arya. Like, we're watching her train. She's not going to be a total fucking badass murderer overnight.
Yeah, they have to pay off on her.
Yeah. It can't just languish
She has
in
a
Bravos.
ton of focus in the book, like a ton of focus in the book. That's, I mean, to me, in the book, she's a main thread.
Absolutely.
I mean, her journey is definitely legit.
We I feel like we've spent a lot of time, like a lot of time with John this season. And everybody else has really, in a lot of ways, played second fiddle to him. And I think that's
Well, when you come back
indicative
from
of
the dead, I mean,
Yeah, right. Like, and I mean, that's
I'm alive, bitches.
yeah, that's who everybody was talking about for the entire like 9 months that the show was off the air. And like, let's face it, John's story is one of maybe 3 or 4 most important stories in the show. So I think it only makes sense that we've spent so much time with him. But yeah, I mean the Arya's got to pay off at some point. Otherwise, like, why not just leave her?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Why not just kill her off or treat her like Rickon and just let him pop up at random?
Yeah. Let her show up 3 years later unannounced.
or like Dorne, where you just kind of forget about him because nobody likes him anymore.
Oh God.
Oh, the Dorne shit, I don't even want to get in because
I had to.
the show has just completely raped the Dorne thread. I mean, it's not even remotely the same. Not even remotely the same.
Oh, it's
Ilaria
awful.
Sand is not a psycho in the book. She's actually very tempered, and she's the one that kind of keeps the girls in check. They don't fucking kill the prince. There's other brothers that get sent to try to win Dany's hand in Meereen. He gets torched by the dragons. I mean, they're like, hey, fuck Dorne, fuck it all. I mean, they literally just wrote it off.
Yeah.
Seriously, and ever since Oberyn has died, excuse me, the all of the charm and like personality has just evaporated from that part of the world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they have their reasons, obviously. A lot of people this week were going like, "Oh, the show finally took things in a new direction with the Hodor reveal." But George has come out, even the creators came out. They're like, "No." When we sat down years ago to plan this out, George told us 3 major twists.
Mm-hmm.
One was the burning of Stannis' daughter, so that eventually is going to happen in the book. The Hodor deal, so that's going to happen in the book. So Martin knew about it all along. And then the last one they said is going to be pretty much the finale, is the last major twist. So,
Which if you think about it, the first Game of Thrones book was written like 20 years ago.
90 fucking 6,
96.
guys. That's how slow this asshole is.
So not only has he written very slowly, but he knew 20 years ago about this Hodor reveal that he has yet to reveal in the books, but has in the show.
Right.
It's
a big fucking bummer.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll come out and say it. I love watching the show now without knowing what's happening or comparing to what I know happened. Right. It's definitely brings a fresh perspective to it again, because I have not. I thought season 4 was pretty bad. 5 was like, okay. It's just, I haven't really loved what the show has done with the book material. So it's been a new experience this time around, and I enjoy that. But I'm someone still, the creator, his words, his plot is the plot. That's what I want to know. I want to know the deep lore behind all this shit. I want to know Martin's vision. I'm happy with what we're getting in the show, but I want to know what the creator wants.
Yeah.
Or his ideas, because I mean, after all, he's the guy that cooked all this shit up in his
well,
head.
if the rumors hold true, the Winds of Winter will be out supposedly sometime next year.
Get the fuck out of here.
Original rumors stated this year. Last I heard, it's now next year.
Dude, original rumors was
Right.
2011.
Right.
Yeah.
But
he's come out and said he's like he's missing like hardcore dates by the publisher. Like, you need to get this done, and he's just like, fuck, I don't. No, I don't.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I'm George Martin now. I'm enjoying my newfound celebrity because my show got picked up 20 years later on HBO, and everyone loves me now. Hardly anyone knew about me before this, so let me go to this con, that con, this con, that con, and I never have time to write. I mean, that's what he said.
Yeah. Well, and
he's like, I fucked up, people. I'm not going to get the book done before the show. It's my fault. I completely missed due dates.
And he's still writing on that really super old computer, or whatever program he uses to write, which seems completely absurd. But
oh, have you ever seen his website?
Yeah.
It's like a fucking blogger.
Yeah.
So literally, it's like a blogger site.
I got a question for you guys.
Sure.
Going back to Hodor real quick. Do we see him again? Because think about what happens to people who are killed
well,
by
yeah.
whites.
I could see him bringing him back as a big Hodor zombie.
Yeah.
And I mean, technically, we didn't see him die.
Right. You're
So,
exactly
and I mean,
right.
we're-
That's
you're
true.
exactly right.
Just like we didn't
Like-
see Stannis die.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And your point.
Hey Nick, I'm glad you brought that up because I mean, we like Keith hinted at, there is like a rule in TV. I mean, if you don't see the character dead, they're probably
Especially in
not dead.
Game of
I mean,
Thrones.
especially in Game of Thrones. Yeah.
Right.
And
that
though
was
even though
curious.
Brienne has gone about, claiming to kill Stannis, I still haven't seen it.
They didn't show.
And,
They didn't
and
show
Roose
like a
Bolton
blood
confirmed
spray.
Stannis' death.
Right. Well,
as
yeah.
well.
From what he heard, Stannis, had died because he asked who killed him. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to see him read him the rights and whatnot, and Stannis accepted it honorably because he is a man of honor, if anything else. But you would think they would at least showed him like a fucking squirt of blood coming out or his head rolling off camera.
Yeah. Completely off screen. So.
So I think he's dead, but you guys are right. I mean, he could pop up out of nowhere and be like, ta-da.
And be like, yeah, you all think John's the prince that was promised. Guess what? I'm not dead, motherfucker.
He steps out of a flame like Danny. And
Yeah, right.
All right, so let's kind of get into some of the highlights from the first 4 episodes. We've kind of
Sure.
locked down episode 5, unless you guys have any other comments on Hold the Door. R.I.P. R.I.P. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that goddamn White Walker reveal.
Oh yeah, with the children of the forest.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, now it makes sense too. Now why Dragonglass is what kills them, because that's
Yeah,
what they were
yeah.
basically birthed with.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, was that what that was, Nick?
I'm
Yeah.
like 90% positive that was Dragonglass.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a petrified tree or werewood tree.
I mean, I just assumed it was Dragonglass because that's the only thing that can kill him, and like in my mind, that makes sense. That
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. So why now then? Let's talk about these guys because Keith's right. This is a very interesting reveal. I mean, it's kind of like anything when a population's being picked on or persecuted, they'll look to weapons of mass destruction to help them out, and that's essentially what the children said. Because just go back Westeros history. I mean, the children, like the Indians in North America, that was their land. They were magical, this, that, and the other thing. And then these Andals showed up, who were men, and like most white men do, they wanted to take everything for themselves. So they started cutting up the magical forests, and children are losing power. And like she said, Leaf, I believe, is what they call in the show. They're like, well, we needed an army to protect us. My question is then, if they created them, why the fuck can they not control them now?
I mean, can any science fiction or scientist control the robot that they build that runs crazy? I mean, it's with like every sci-fi and fantasy story. Like somebody creates something to try and do one thing, and it always ends up doing something worse or bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I kind of made that correlation in my top 4 recap write-up, where I basically said, as with any type of WMD, usually the creator doesn't intend for it to go off the rails and to turn into this weapon of mass destruction, like Einstein thinking of splitting atoms and whatnot, and Oppenheimer. They knew what they were doing. I don't think they ever wanted to figure out that stuff and what it could do to humanity, and that's kind of, I think, what happened to the children. But
Yeah.
you'd think with their level of magic and that they could create a force like that they could have done a better job of keeping it fucking corralled, or at least saying, hey, guys, we're your creators. At least leave us alone. But, I mean, the whites, the barrows, the fucking zombies, the skeletons, the White Walkers, they don't give a fuck. They want to eat everything that is alive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's... I mean, I'm kind of with you a little bit too, Matt, with all the powers that the Children of the Forest at least appear to have. You'd think there would have been some way to be like, okay, we're going to restrain this, but obviously that didn't happen, and, they ended up going on doing kind of the opposite of what the Children of the Forest had intended when they put them together.
Well, it's like introducing a species to a part of the world that species shouldn't be in. I think Australia has a ton of species that have just destroyed their habitat because someone brought it there and it just kind of took over, and then you eventually can't control it. And that's what happened with these See, it started as White Walkers, but then eventually the White Walkers could start creating these zombies almost, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
the whites.
The White Walkers are the fucking blue guys.
Right, and then their
Yes.
followers are whites, which is spelled Wights. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically like their army. They go around, and that's why, whenever anyone is out ranging or at the wall and they die, it's like we got to burn the body or else they're going to come back as a white and haunt us and try to kill us.
Speaking of ranging, do we ever hear more from Benjen Stark? Do you guys even know who Benjen Stark is?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, the that one dude who went off in like episode 3 of season 1.
John's
he's-
uncle.
It's Ned's brother. He was lead ranger. He took the watch oath, whatever. He's the one kind of convinced John to come up. And yeah, he went out ranging and just disappeared. Same thing in the book.
His horse came back, but he didn't, and they never found out what happened to him.
Well, in the book, they do have this guy. He's kind of like half dead that helps Bran and the gang get to the Three-Eyed Raven. Obviously, they didn't create him in the show. People thought that might have been Benjen, but I feel like, I don't know. Do you think he's just a forgotten character at this point, or do you think we'll ever get paid off on his disappearance?
I think that's something that we actually might not hear about again.
Just one of those threads that Martin might have had something 50 years ago, but now he's like, fuck it, I'll just let it die out.
Because, I mean, at this point, I don't have a timeline on how many years it's been since that happened, but it's been a long time.
Well, it would have been, if we're talking TV time, it's season 1, technically, is when he disappeared.
Right, but I mean, I'm talking about, like, time in the show, like...
I believe...
Like 5 years, 10 years?
No, it's not even been that long. I mean, I think, honestly, we've only been living through maybe a year or two.
No. Look at Rickon.
Well, that's...
He was
That's just the byproduct of
like,
shooting a show over 6 years.
He was that's true, but he was like 3 when him and Osha like took off.
I agree. I honestly don't think it's more than 2 or 3 years. The time has elapsed. It's just the unfortunate happenstance of using child actors. Really. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like at least in the books it made me feel like there was a lot more time that's passed, because you think about the time like for when Robert came to I can't think of the Stark home.
Winterfell.
I want to say Westfell. I was like, no, it's not it. Winterfell. When he came from King's Landing to Winterfell, that took him a month just to travel there. So like in my head, I'm like, okay, anytime anybody travels, it's gonna be a long time. So that's kind of like where in my head I think it's more than just a couple years.
Okay.
And not just because of the child
sheer
actor
travel
thing,
time.
But for like the sake of the show. Like I feel like Danny's been in Marine for like a couple years already, not like 6 months or a year or something like that.
Yeah, see, I would have to go back to the book, but I'm almost positive it tells you how long she's been there. Like, and really in the book at this point, Marine, by the way, is under complete siege. I mean, Yunkai and Astapor are literally camped outside her walls. This was all before she disappeared, so they cut all that shit out. We've only heard about it through discussions with Tyrion Varys that the 2 cities she conquered before Marine want to kick her ass. Now they have a fragile peace. That's not going on in the show, but I mean in the book it's a whole different deal. I mean, Tyrion in the book is a fucking second son, I believe. He's a sellsword at this point. And Jorah, I believe, is a sellsword still. They've got a little midget girl that hangs out with them now. But they're all sitting outside the walls because Marine, they're just trying to siege it. I mean, there's like a disease spreading in Marine.
And he's trying to figure out a way to get into Marine to get to Daenerys.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it does end with, she eventually agrees to marry that dude, and they have the fucking the pits are open again, and then Drogon carries her away. So the show just kind of deleted all that shit, and they're like, yeah, we'll just pretend that war never happened. But whatever. So get back to some of the highlights from this season here. I mean, the Jon thing, I don't think that really surprised anyone, right?
I was surprised that it happened in the second episode.
Same.
I honestly thought
here.
that was something they were going to drag out till at least, the second half of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right, but you see where they're going. They had to get him back into the fray pretty quick.
And that's
Things have moved along so freaking quickly over the last several episodes.
And that's
that,
Yeah, because we talked about that in one of our email exchanges too, about how much faster paced this seems. Last week Littlefinger was at the Vale this week. He's at the Wall and meeting with Sansa like instantly. Like,
Yeah.
it's definitely, they're definitely picking up the pace to try and like piece more things together.
I'm pretty sure. I think the big battle this season is going to be Jon's forces versus the Boltons.
Yeah.
I think that's the big battle. And the interesting thing here is, are we going to see the Northmen, like we heard in this episode, are they going to show their true loyalty and join the Starks? Because I don't know if I'm sure you guys have read it. I don't know how much you pay attention to the chatter, but the episode where we saw the Umbers hand over Rickon and Osha, and supposedly a dead Shaggy dog, even though that head looked pretty fucking tiny. There's a lot of people thinking that this is a ruse to be played on Ramsay, because in the books, the Umbars are huge supporters of the Starks. You notice even in the show, he wouldn't swear loyalty to Ramsay. He's like, yeah, whatever, fuck you, you suck. And the theory is that the Umbers are trying to draw Ramsay out of Winterfell because it's a very defendable castle. Get him in the field, and then, when Jon comes down with hopefully more northern families, they can fucking wipe his little bastard ass out.
I think Plan A was Osha's seduction method that didn't work out for her.
Yeah.
And Plan B is draw Ramsay out.
Okay, so you think that the Umbers are still on the Stark side, and then they're just fucking with the Boltons?
I think so, yeah. Now, I don't know who else is with the Umbers, or if they if they have others in line to help them.
If you want to go on northern family loyalties, the Karstarks should be the most staunch supporters of the Starks, because they literally share blood. But you got to remember, Robb chopped off their dad's head, so the new Lord's a little pissy. But you're still not getting... I mean, there's the Manderleys. There's all sorts of shit happening in the book. Like, right now, Davos is treating with these northern families to, again, come help Stannis still. But you get a hint in the book that the northern families do not like that the Boltons are the Wardens now in the north.
The North remembers, man.
Right.
The North remembers.
You get a sense in the books that they're much more on the side of the Starks than what we're seeing in the show. So I think something that's going to happen here, and it's because I consider him to be probably one of the top 2 game players in all of Westeros. I believe Peter is setting this whole Northern War into motion to eventually try to seize ultimate power for himself. Or do you think he really is trying to help the Starks back into power? I don't think there's any possibility, because this guy has literally been playing the game harder than anybody.
Yeah, but if him helping the Starks makes his life better and easier, then yeah, I think he helps them.
I feel like he wants to be the top dog. He wants to be king.
Yeah, but it's one of those things too where it's like, well, if I can't be top dog, I'm gonna put my eggs in this basket and help him out, kind of thing too.
Because he is different. He's a completely different character so far in the show than the book. Because in the book, he does not give up Sansa.
No. And that was one of the things.
That's not even like a possibility.
That's one of the things last season that like kind of frustrated me, because
exactly,
like you said, that
shit pisses me off.
They strayed from the books a lot, and I knew it was happening. I knew it was going to come, but like that plot line really, like, I was like, okay, I gotta calm my emotions down. It's just a TV show. It's just a book. I gotta realize they're just 2 different paths to kind of the same ending. But like you said, in the book, Littlefinger promises, quote unquote, a Stark girl to Ramsay. He promises Arya, but really it's one of Sansa's friends.
It's Jane Poole.
Yeah.
It's one of the old handmaidens of Sansa's.
And then Sansa's still hanging out with Robin in the Vale.
Yeah, she's like in the Vale chilling as Elaine.
Yeah.
She's not even Sansa anymore. It's like Littlefinger's bastard daughter. So it's, we got that exchange between Sansa and Peter, and rightfully so. She's like, yo, you're a fucking dick sucker. You traded me off to a known rapist mutilator.
She's got some fire this season.
Oh, yeah,
man,
it's great.
it's great,
I mean, I think that's why the showrunners have went this direction with her character. The Starks have just been beat the fuck down since season 1, especially the women, especially Sansa. I mean, I think we forget all the shit she went through with Joffrey and whatnot, and then she was with fake Ramsay in the show version of the story. And now she's like, yo, I'm fucking Lady Stark. Suck my tits. Let's do this shit, Jon, you pussy. And by the way, I'm 10 feet taller than you. Poor Kit Harington, man. I mean, I know what it's like to be a short guy, but he's getting screwed this season with Sansa basically, or Sophie Turner and every scene.
They have to
with
do
him.
like what what Robert Zemeckis did with Back to the Future, because Christopher Lloyd was so much taller than Michael J. Fox. They have to do like different camera angles, or like
Oh yeah.
when they're running
Yeah.
back and forth, it's because they don't want them standing next to each other for too long, because it's too awkward.
Well,
like-
I mean, it's same shit with Tom Cruise.
Oh,
movies.
yeah.
And it's nothing wrong with short guys. Trust me, I'm fucking 5'6". I'm a midget. I understand that, and just sometimes when you see Kit supposed to be this big ass Jon Snow, and he's just this little tiny guy
my,
next to Sophie Turner, she's got to be almost 6 foot.
She's pretty tall, yeah. One of my favorite like quick moments in the last episode was when Brienne and Sansa were talking, and she was like, Sansa's like, "Oh, you don't trust Jon?" And Brienne's like, "No, he's a bit brooding though." And I was like, "Yes, yes,
Yeah.
he is. He is brooding. Like that's Jon."
That was curious. I get we're like still stuck on episode 5, but
Well, most recent.
why don't you think Sansa trusts Jon enough to tell him the truth about that Peter fed him that story? So that's what I'm saying. I feel like Peter fed her that, knowing that it would affect her. I mean, he's still shaping her vision of the world.
Yeah.
Even though she pretend hates him at this point in time. I mean, why not tell
I think
Jon?
she didn't tell Jon because she's obviously pissed at Littlefinger for the Ramsay thing, right? She doesn't want to tell Jon because Jon would convince her to make Littlefinger, a friend again. And she can't live with that, I think.
Yeah. I also see it as maybe Littlefinger setting him up.
That could be. Do you guys
And I mean, there's
go?
definitely something also to be said about like his influence is definitely running deep through her. Like no matter how much she might hate him at this point, like he was instrumental in shaping the woman that she's become.
Oh yeah, her politics are all from his viewpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Like she plays the game because she learned how to play the game from Littlefinger.
Yeah.
And he is. I truly believe him and Varys are the 2 best game players in all of the land.
Do you
And it's made more clear in the books, but I mean, Peter's the one. He set up the whole fucking thing with the Lannisters
Yep.
and the Starks. I mean, he set that whole thing up. Varys set the whole thing up with, getting baby Targaryen out and Dany's care, this, that, and the other thing. So they're both kind of playing the big game with everybody who thinks they're in control. The Lannisters think they're in control. Fucking Peter's the one that got Joffrey killed in cahoots with the Queen of Thorns. I mean, Baelish Littlefinger is a mastermind.
Yes.
And so is Varys, for all that matter. And then I think Tyrion comes in at a close third, and Cersei's up there too, obviously. The Starks suck at the game. Fucking blow. I mean, maybe Bran will fix that.
do you guys think that Sansa's pregnant?
No.
I hope to God not.
I only asked because I was having this discussion at work with someone, and she mentions when she's talking to Littlefinger about she still feels what Ramsay did. Like, not in a, oh, my tender heart kind of way, but in a, physical kind of way. So, I mean, yeah, she could very easily be talking about the inappropriate and injurious things that he did to her, but someone was speculating that maybe she's pregnant.
I don't know. I mean, we know from the fact that we open season 4 or season 6 where we closed season 5 that there has not been a whole heck of a lot of time lapse between the events of these 2 seasons, and getting raped is pretty fucking violent and terrible.
Yes.
It's not something that goes away quickly. So
yeah, I hope not, because again, the whole Sansa Ramsay thing is completely made up for the show. I mean, it was, to me, one of the most egregious departures from the canon material. Because it's not even remotely happening so far in the books. And I don't even know if it would happen at this point, because a lot of the events that we're seeing in motion have been set in motion in the books, too. We just haven't seen the payoff. I mean, we got the payoff on Jon and Dany, because that's kind of where book 5 ends, literally back to back. Jon's betrayed. Dany wakes up after Drogon taken her away, and she's encircled by Dothraki. So now we know where those threads are heading, but a lot of the other stuff was still cooking. And I don't see this Sansa shit happening for. I mean, it doesn't even seem like a remote possibility in the book. So I hope that God.
It would take a lot to get her to that point.
Yeah, let's just end the whole, hey, Sansa was with Ramsay, blah, blah, blah. That's over. Let's have the fight, and let's hopefully they fucking kill him.
Is she the one to kill him?
God, yes.
Like with
Yeah,
your honest opinion, not like what you hope, but like, you honestly think she's the one to...
I think it would be lame because it's like so set up for that, to be honest with you. I would like to see Theon kill him.
He has left the Iron Island, so...
I feel so bad for that fucker, and he was such a cock. I mean, Theon as a character in the books is he's a fucking idiot. You know, he's just trying. He's a guy. He's got dick and balls. He wants to be top dog, but he really fucked everything up, and he paid dearly for it. And now I feel so bad for him because he's so fucking broke.
So with Matt, I wanted to ask, because I know you and I both read the books. Is the show completely caught up with the books now after this Kingsmoot? So everything else has surpassed the books basically, and now with the Kingsmoot this past episode.
Well, no, not really. It depends on where they show where the whole Iron Ireland people are going to go, because in the books they haven't even introduced one of the main brothers. There's two brothers, by the way. The one is the priest. I don't know if that's actually how they portray him in the show. The other one, his name is Victarion. And Victarion is who the priest brother wants to be king. Euron still does win the kingship, but he's the one that says to his brother Victarion, take the fleet, go to Meereen, woo Dany for me, and then we'll go kick some ass. But then when Victarion heads out, he's like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to get her for me.
Yeah,
and I'm going to fucking kick ass.
Because they have what they think is a dragon horn, which basically thinks they can control dragons.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe Yara and Theon are heading to Meereen, perhaps, to try and beat them. I mean, because Euron's got to build 1,000 ships now.
Because she does. I mean, in the book, she's Asha. She does leave right after the Kingsmoot, and she loses.
I know she loses. I honestly don't remember if she's still on the Iron Islands or if she bails. Theon is not with her. Theon's still in captivity.
Theon's with. Well, yeah, he would be on the run with Jane Poole, captured by Stannis. Right. Because that's where we leave them. I mean, literally, when we leave them in the book, Stannis is camped out at Moat Cailin, I believe. He's captured Asha, so Theon's sister, and Theon. I mean, he has them both right now.
Yeah, and he's basically kind of waiting out the winter. He's got like men and horses dying, right? Because they're trying to take Winterfell.
So I still think it's going to resolve like it did in the show. I think men are just going to die out. Some are going to leave. He's going to burn his daughter. And then they're all going to leave. He's going to get his ass kicked. I think his thread probably will play out. But no, as far as the show, we are pretty damn close. I mean, they did hint. They hinted at Euron's plan, so that's what he wants. He wants to go get him some Dany boobies and hopefully take over the world with 3 dragons and his fleet. Because she needs ships, right? Because they kind of threw that into the show, like, oh, by the way, we burned your fleet in Meereen.
Yeah. What was that, episode 1 of this season?
Yeah, just like it
by the way, here's your burning ships,
Yeah.
Fleet's on fire.
Yeah, have your barbecue.
Now you got to figure out how to get there. So someone, before we wrap things up, we haven't talked much about at all, and that's the Queen of Dragons herself, Dany, who, for the past couple seasons, has had quite a boring plot thread, in my opinion, or narrative. But this season, I think it's kicked ass, and it culminated in that amazing finale of, what was that, episode 3 or 4?
Mm-hmm.
Where she basically flexes her muscle again, says, listen, I'm the fucking Queen of Dragons. I am, was she the Unburnt or something like that, this, that, and the other thing.
It happened once, it happened again.
Yeah, all these calls can suck my dick and see ya, and just burns them all alive, and she walks out, and all Dothraki, not just, before she just got calls leftovers after they witnessed her miracle, but now she has all of them, the best warriors on horseback in all the land, now worship her as a goddess.
And she's got the Unsullied waiting for her in Meereen.
Right. So she now has the world's largest cavalry. She's got the best foot soldiers. And she has 2.5 dragons, because Drogon's kind of on his fucking... Drogon does whatever the fuck he wants.
But we haven't seen the other 2 since Tyrion released them.
Yeah, he like just unhooked them, and they're like, all right, well, we feel better now. We don't have chains on us. We're still gonna sit in our
Well,
dungeon.
yeah, I was like, how are they getting out? Like, do they go out the door? Or is there like a sky roof that they fly through? Like, you don't see them actually leave.
Yeah, I mean, back getting into history in King's Landing, they would have the dragon pits, and yeah, there'd just be a big open top, fucking citadel-looking structure. But they got to come into play.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, these dragons aren't just being they're not pets for Tyrion to talk to and whatnot. And Drogon, he can't be done with his little missions.
No, he just does
so-
whatever he wants.
No, and he always
Yeah.
has. I mean, he's the big guy. He's the lead dog. There's no doubt about that. He's named after Khal Drogo. I mean, he's a badass. So I can't wait till the dragons are just. We have 3 riders mounted on them, and they're just burning the fuck out of Lannisters or something in Westeros.
Who are the riders, do you think?
Well, I mean, Dany's definitely one. I know, Nick, you were the one kind of thrown in Tyrion could possibly.
I think, I mean, there's theories out there that Tyrion has Targaryen blood in him. Because Tywin has always claimed that Tyrion is not his son. And a lot of the time you think it's because, he's an imp and he killed his mother. But the Mad King went around and slept with whoever he wanted, including Tywin's wife, Tyrion's mother. So there's rumors there. Because in the books, Matt, I don't know if you recall, in the books, Tyrion's description is a lot different than what he is in the show. In the books, he's got slightly lighter color hair than what he has. Each of his eyes are different color, and they claim that's like half is Targaryen, half is Lannister. So in the book, you kind of get a little more sense that might be the case. They haven't really gone that way in the show, but
He was able to get right up next to
yeah.
him.
Well, and the other thing too, when him and Jorah were attacked by the Stone Men, Jorah got touched, obviously, because we see that it's creeping up his arm. Now Tyrion, we assume he just didn't get touched, but there's also, I think again it's in the books, not in the show, where they talk about Targaryen blood is basically immune to sickness. So there could be like maybe Tyrion was touched, but he can't catch it because he has Targaryen blood in him. Again, these are just kind of like theories that I've seen and read about,
I know, but
it kind of
was interesting that he was able to interact with those dragons in almost the same way that Dany can. Essentially talking to them and them understanding him and obeying and actually appreciating him, letting them out of their chains. So who knows? I mean, it's got to be Dany on one of them. I don't know how you get anyone else involved. I mean, everyone they're it's all one big journey. It's all should tie together in the end, but all these threads are so separate right now. It's just I don't know how they fold everything back in and not make it seem like a big sloppy mess. Like, oh yeah, hey, here comes Dany and Jon on their dragons.
well,
and burning
right? 'Cause
everybody.
at some point, Dany's going to come to Westeros, right? Like, I mean, that's the general big, like, supposedly big final battle, so to speak.
And it sounds like they're, at least in the show, they're pushing quickly towards that. I don't know if we might see her set sail at the end of this season, but I think by next season, we might see her make her way back to Westeros.
Yeah. I can see Bran as the third dragon rider.
He needs something.
slash
bum ass legs.
Will he be riding the dragon or
it-
controlling the dragon?
See that was my thing. I don't think he's going to be riding a dragon. I think he's going to be warged into a dragon, and because we get that line at the end of what was it, season 4, where the three-eyed raven tells him, "No, you will never walk again, but you will fly."
Yes, that's right.
So
Yeah, I mean-
that has always, I mean, for the past 2 years, that's been kind of my thought. Just like, all right, he's eventually going to warg into one of the dragons.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and talk about this universe forever because there's also things that we don't even talk about because the show doesn't the show does focus on the religion, but just look at the title of the book series, A Song of Ice and Fire. I really think it is this Lord of Light versus the fucking evil fucking ice people.
Yeah.
In the end, that's
Yeah.
it. And supposedly the Targaryens, they must have like a direct tie to this Lord of Light or Azor Ahai or the fucking fire god, the red god, because they're legit. I mean, the religion's legit. Do we agree? I mean, it can fucking raise people from the dead. Dany, for one reason or other, can't be burnt. I know she doesn't believe in the Lord of Light, but I mean, I really think those powers of light versus evil are just like in any story, or that's the ultimate showdown. It's not really going to be. Do we think it's going to just resolve between the Stark and the Lannisters? In my opinion, the main families of this story, or is it going to be the fucking men versus the undead in the end?
No, it's going to be men versus the undead.
Like, everyone's going to have to fucking band together and get over it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll have someone on the Iron Throne at the end? Or do we resolve the Iron Throne conflict first and then men unite?
Or do you think like the men in Westeros are fighting the White Walkers, and then Dany comes over the hill like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings and just
Fuck yeah, dude.
just wipes them all out from behind. And then after that, they're like,
and then
she's like,
she's
you know
queen,
what?
yeah.
I saved you. I have dragons. I'm the captain now.
Yeah, y'all stole the shit from my family in the first place.
Yeah, so, I mean, who knows? I mean, there's still another Targaryen in the books who supposedly would have a very legit claim, but he's not in the show, so that means he's probably not that key of a character.
I'm still holding out in the show for Lady Stoneheart. I know we're passing the books, but I'm still holding out for some appearance.
Well, yeah, because she's in the books. I mean, she has Brienne fucking hanging by a noose and essentially says, "Go kill Jaime Lannister. I'm going to kill you." That's the other one who has his thread is wildly different in the show is Jaime. Like in the show, I feel like they're making him kind of the arrogant dick again. Where in the book, I mean, he becomes a very humble man after getting his hand cut off and traveling with Brienne. Him and Cersei don't really get along anymore. In fact, she sends him out to go quell the remaining uprisings in the Riverlands.
Yeah,
she just
kind of sent him off. It's like, I don't want to bother with you right now.
Yeah, but now they're like butt buddies again. They're ready to fucking start war against the High Sparrow. So his threat again has changed greatly. I mean, him going the Dorne, that's all made up bullshit.
You talked earlier about Littlefinger and Varys being like players of the game. I think the High Sparrow's got to be up there too.
He's an interesting figure because
you don't know much about him. He's got everybody's attention and he's got ears. And he's saying the right people to kind of cause this set. Like there are rumors that people think he told Tommen how Joffrey was killed, like who killed him, and that's what he was gonna tell Cersei. But then they were interrupted, and then Well,
yeah, I mean they in the show, even Cersei, and that's why she busted in on the small council. She's like, "Listen, we're being fucking stupid. This High Sparrow has achieved exactly what he came in here to achieve. He's got the Lannisters and the Tyrells, the two most powerful families at this time, basically barking at each other because of religion, this, that, and the other thing. So he could be playing something. I mean, he did hint, I think it was 2 episodes ago, that he did come from an affluent family. I mean, it sounded like he was possibly a lord or definitely a well-off group. You know, he's talking about his big drunken party and whatnot, and that's when he realized he wanted to be the High Sparrow.
He was, what was he? He was basically a shoemaker.
Okay.
Because, he was a shoemaker who took more time to build quality shoes, and that's how he got money to live like a lord. And that's when, he was getting drunk and hooking up with all these
I'm seeing where things are going, and I'm like, the High Sparrow he's fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, when you bring in the Tyrell army, it's like, okay, he doesn't have that many faith militant to fucking defend him.
And the Gregor Stein or the Frankenstein Mountain or whatever you want to call him, he's going to be battling somebody soon. He's got to.
Well, you've heard the speculation that it's going to be the Hound, right?
Yeah.
I mean, essentially the Hound, because the Hound's not dead. I mean, Arya leaves him. Kind of the same in the book. It's actually way different in the book. He doesn't fight Brienne, none of that shit, but he is beat up from another scuffle they have. And apparently he makes it, I don't know if it's Old Town or he makes it somewhere. Maybe where Sam's going, where all the maesters get trained. I forget what that's called.
The Citadel.
But supposedly he gets brought in by the Faith, and he's going to be the face representative when Cersei calls for a trial by battle. And so the Hound's going to fight his zombie brother.
Well, and that's that's entirely possible because one of the I forget his name, one of the new actors this season who hasn't appeared yet, let slip, and when the show is off the air, that he would be bringing a quote unquote popular character back to life, and he more or less hinted that it was going to be the Hound.
Yeah. So who knows, guys? Like I said, it's a good start. But I credit a lot of that to the fact that it's just fresh to me. I mean, I don't have any prior perspective on the events that's happening, so I can't really compare them to anything. Like I could compare the Jamie thread or the Sansa thread, things that I did not like in the past few seasons. So,
and even from the perspective of somebody who hasn't read the books and who is, coming, I'm coming to everything Game of Thrones pretty darn fresh. I mean, I obsessively read like criticism and speculation and stuff, but season 5 was boring as hell. There was one truly spectacular episode, and which was Hardhome, and that's not even in the damn books, from what I understand.
Oh no, they talk about it, and see. The reason Jon gets stabbed in the book is because he gets the letter from Ramsay basically saying, "Fuck off, you bastard, I have Winterfell, suck my dick." And Jon's like, all right, that's enough. I'm taking some Night's Watch and some fucking wildlings, and we're kicking his ass. And that's when the Black Brothers are like, dude, you can't do that. I mean, that's going against your vows. You can't go back to your former family and help them out. That's why they fucking kill him in the books, not because he led an attack on Hardhome. They do mention it, and I think he sends Tormund up there to go deal with it or some shit like that, but he does.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's fair. They like you said, Matt. They just mention it. They don't actually spend any.
They
time
actually
there
kill him. Like the leaders, the Night's Watch leaders, actually want to kill him because they think that he's betraying his vow essentially to go help the Starks.
Gotcha. But anywho, that still, like, that was the one, like, the lone really fucking awesome episode from last season. And
No, I agree. Like I said, I thought 4 and 5 were a little rough to get through.
Yeah, and I had some problems with 4, but overall I rather enjoyed it. But this season so far, season 6, things have been moving, things have been changing at a pace that we really haven't seen since seasons 1 or 2.
Yeah, it feels like they're driving home towards the fucking finale.
Yeah,
Faster than
like
maybe
we're
they
seeing
planned
some
to.
end game here for the first time. It looks like this could all tie together at some point. Instead, like, because up from seasons 1 through 5, everybody just kept going further and further and further apart. And now we're seeing some reunions.
Right.
Now we're seeing things tie back together. Danny's plot's moving along. Arya's plot's moving along. John's plot's moving. Like, everything is, like, coming to a head.
How many seasons have they committed to? Is it 7, 8, 9, 10? I mean,
I think
I knew that. I know there was a number. I thought at one point in time
think.
they even had a hard date. Like, this is it.
They said 7 with the possibility of moving to 8 potentially. But then Weiss and Benioff have also said that after this season's over, they have maybe 13 hours left of television to tell. So who the fuck knows?
Interesting.
I just hope it doesn't drag on too long.
I would like to see one season after. I would like to see it conclude with season 7.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll essentially be writing their own 7th book then, because I doubt he has much of anything in the 7th book.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got an outline.
He didn't even have the goddamn 6th book out. And there's another one after that, and these books are fat. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, they're just going to Cliff's Notes whatever the fuck he told them, and they're going to make up their own conclusions, probably outside of the final outcome.
My only, and this is very slim silver lining, is that George Martin is actually writing a book so large that they have to split it into 2 like he did with 4 and 5. But I don't really see that happening. I think it's like you said, Matt, he's just out, living his newfound fame and just hasn't.
That's it 100%.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I don't get it, because if he was a regular author, his publisher would have been like, dude, fuck off.
Well,
give us the money back, you asshole.
And you think too, granted, he's got boatloads of money now, but if the show, and the show as it appears is going to be ending well before the book series ends, are sales of his books going to falter after the show ends? Because people were like, oh, I'm okay with that ending. I don't really care about the books anymore.
No
when
way.
Up to this point, people were like, well, I want to read the books because I want to get ahead, or I want to see the difference.
I think you're going to have two factions like you do. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore Game of Thrones guy. I mean, I didn't even know the fucking franchise existed till 2010. And I didn't even know why people were talking about this Game of Thrones show on HBO. I didn't have HBO, and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe their Game of Thrones is in real life. I'm like, what is this shit? I was like, oh, Sean Bean's in it. It's on HBO. It might be cool. I popped it in. I was like, fucking shit. This is my type of stuff. This is the Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings. I mean, I appreciate that fake stuff just as much as sci-fi. So, but then once I got a dose of the show and I knew I had to wait for the next season, I'm someone that I need to know everything. I need the lore. I want to know what the fuck's happening. I want to see how close the show was to the creator's vision. Because like I said, I believe whoever creates the canon, that's the story I want versus someone else retelling it. So that's why I dove into the books and read them, literally just fucking peeled right all the way to book 5, right when it came out, up, done, ready to go. Let's watch the show. And then I was like, oh, man, they changed a lot. I used to have a fucking post-series, what was different, because of how many changes are in each season compared to the books. So I think you're going to have people like me that, I'm looking forward to the books. I want to read the books. But you're also just going to have the show fans like, hey, great, watch the show, it's over, who gives a shit, books suck. It's kind of how I was with Harry Potter. I watch the movies, don't give a fuck about the books.
Matt, if you want to go into some more Game of Thrones lore, you should read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms if you haven't.
Is it from him?
What's that?
Is it from him?
Yeah, it takes place about a century before Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, because he just put out like a few books that are more kind of like Tolkien used to do with his short stories. Or unfinished
they're kind of like novellas.
All right.
Yeah. But
I'm still kind of angry at him. I just want the goddamn book. I'm not giving him any money till he gives me the book.
I'm the same way.
I hate to fucking read, guys. I mean, it's not like it's not like reading is one of my favorite hobbies. I actually despise it. I mean, I'd rather touch my phone or play games, shit like that, and take pictures now. But
and it's funny because the books, there's so many times in the books where I'm just like, where he's describing like every meal they're eating. And I'm like, okay, I don't care about this. But then there's so much good stuff that I'm like,
oh yeah,
I have to keep reading.
You get so much, like the Red Wedding in the book. It was great on the show, but in the book, it was a master. He masterfully laid it out. Mm-hmm. Like he's giving you hints all along. Like you're like, yeah, something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. Then boom! I remember reading that, and reading affected me. Like I couldn't go to bed after because I used to, read sitting under the covers like a little kid. I couldn't fall asleep. I'm like, he just fucking did this to the Starks?
I was like that when the Night's Watch killed Jon. When he like turned around and all of a sudden there was like a knife and he like looks down his hands and there's blood. I was like, wait, what just happened? Are they really doing this? Like,
yeah.
Oh my word.
So whatever, George, just get the books out, buddy.
Please,
come on.
Please.
I'm a lore junkie. It's been my entire life. Star Wars, the movies aren't enough. I need to know why Darth Vader is who he is. Oh, we're getting the prequels. Awesome. Oh, that didn't answer a goddamn question. It actually made Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader the dumbest fucking idiot character in all of sci-fi. That's who I am. Halo. I need to know who are the fucking the Covenant. Why'd they form? Who are the Flood? Why are they here? What's Gravemind? That's just how I am. I love fake life. I love studying about fake life. I don't give a shit about our own history and our future and our present. I like fake stuff. Fantasy and sci-fi. Tolkien for the win. Okay. All right, guys. Well, anything else you want to discuss about Game of Thrones?
Rest in peace, Summer.
Yeah.
The
dire wolves are fucking dropping like flies.
That part got me a little bit more than the Hodor part. Just because anytime I hear a dog, or in this case a direwolf, like yelping like that, I'm just like, because I grew up with dogs and like,
I actually like most animals more than humans.
Yeah.
I mean, I would save a cat over a human. I would save probably even a dog, definitely a lion. So yeah, I'm all about it. I hate when animals are being abused. I'm still holding out that wasn't Shaggy Dog.
Yeah. So we've got Ghost and
Nymeria and Shaggy
is
Dog.
still out there, and
potentially
we're hoping Shaggy Dog's still out there too. which could prove to your theory that the Umbers are just setting this up. They just were like, okay, here's a wolf, we'll kill it, we'll bloody it up, and we'll say it's Shaggy Dog.
I'm holding out hope for that. And who the fuck knows where Nymeria is at?
She's like leading a wolf pack like north of the wall or something like that.
No, you are right.
Yeah.
No, I'm being dead serious. He's right. I think you are right. Because all of them, I mean, can Arya warg too, or just Jon and Bran in the book?
I don't. That's a good question. I don't.
She can. I think she wargs into a cat when she's doing some training or whatnot.
Well, I think it's one of those things where it's like she's sleeping, so she thinks it's a dream kind of thing.
Right.
And then like Jon
But
or
she is
Bran
actually
will wake up
warged
with
in.
like the taste of like blood in their mouth from their
Right.
dire wolf's meal or something like that.
Show doesn't really hit on that outside of Bran's ability.
Yeah.
But Jon had it big time for sure. So, all right, well, I think that's it there, Game of Throners. Pretty much hit all the highlights, and hasn't really been any lowlights. Like I said, I think the opening segment of episode 5 has probably been the most dull episode footage we've got this year. Really, it's been pretty kick-ass. So, looking forward to 6. It looks like we're going to get a little more focus on the events going down in King's Landing, which is essentially the Lannisters v. High Sparrow. We're going to get some action shots with Bran again. It looks like Arya is going to make an appearance, and I'm trying to draw from the trailer. Are we going to see some Jon and Sansa too, maybe? Possibly. Who knows? And I think Brienne getting sent to River Run is a trap. Like I said, I think Baelish is setting something up. But we'll find out this Sunday, 9 o'clock on HBO Eastern Time. All right, well, you guys want to plug anything, sign off, say yippee doo-dah, yippee ki-yay, motherfucker, or something like that?
Entertainment Buddha has an Instagram, so check us out on there.
Yeah, at @Buddha, correct?
Correct.
ENTBUDDHA.
That's it.
Keith, anything?
You can follow me on Twitter at KW Matthias and hold the door for me.
I got your back, dude. I got that door. Hold the door. All right, well, everyone, if you are into stupidness, toys, vinyl collectibles, geekiness in general, all you got to do is go to entertainmentboo.com because it will make you a better geek one post at a time. But if you want to look at someone who's nearing 36 years old that still goes out on a daily basis and plays with action figures and takes pictures of them, you can go over to Instagram.com and follow Haywood Pop, HEYWOODPOP. That's how we do it.
Has Funko Pop started sponsoring you yet, or?
Not yet. They're
All right.
dicks. I mean, you get into it. There's people on Instagram that are poppers. They're in this community that put out fucking trash and get thousands of likes and followers. So it gets discouraging sometimes. I'm not saying I'm a goddamn artist. I'm a noob for sure.
That one of Bubba Fett though looked with the light behind it looked pretty solid.
Yeah, I put out some okay pics, and I don't get as much love as some of these other cocksuckers. So the Boxes app, that's where it's at. I've got almost 5,000 over there. They appreciate us toy collectors on Boxes. You Instagram fucking prima donnas. I'm a loser. Okay.
You should have your Funko Pops take bathroom selfies of themselves, and then that might generate more likes.
Yeah, I just need to start my own little niche of pop shots. You are exactly right, but whatever, it's fun. Cameras are kick-ass. It's a fun little hobby for sure.
Word.
So, just keep tuned in to us, people. We've got all the socials. Just go to entertainmentboo.com, check them out, give us a follow. You'll enjoy it. It's pretty casual over there. We don't suck. We do our own thing. No one owns us. Our opinions are our own.
And they are valid.
Damn straight. Hold the fucking door.